Personalized Professional Development, Evaluating Teacher Voice, reviewed by Carrie Conaway. About this podcast. This podcast was an interview with Kyle Hamstra and Allison Brodman. Allison Brodman, she was the author of Professionalized Professional Learning, a job-embedded pathway for evaluating teacher voice. She is an assistant principal and director of professional development at Mariana Barchetti Academy, a K-12 Title I school in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The purpose of this podcast was to discuss the idea of personalizing professional development for teachers and why it is important for administrators to step it up in this area. Our HCLE standards. There were two of them in particular that I focused on when it comes to planning and growing your teacher staff. 10.1.2 and 10.1.3, plan differentiated professional development that meets organizational and or individual employee needs. We're going to focus on this a lot. And then the other one is applying best practice in adult learning to the design of professional development. Again, something else that we're going to look at more in depth. This podcast started off very quickly with just a quick look at some different types of PD that are being offered in many school districts. Kyle asked Allison to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down on each one and then briefly explain it. The topics mainly that they covered were sit and get PD, which she gave a thumbs down to, professional learning networks. This was a definite thumbs up. She really liked how this gives teachers the opportunity to get outside of their buildings and their schools and network with teachers even around the globe. Teacher evaluation. This was kind of a two-part because we looked at it as a measuring tool, which she felt was a very, I shouldn't say very, when she looked at evaluation as a measuring tool, she said, yes, we should keep our teachers accountable for what they do, but this shouldn't be the end all, beat all that we do. The other part of it is the growth platform. This is where she really felt as administrators, we need to start the teacher evaluation process. Teacher evaluation should be looked at as a growth, a starting point. How can we grow our teachers and give them purpose in their teaching? And then the last part was the plug and play models. One of the things that she said, but I thought was a really good quote, was leaders love the idea of personalized PD, but it quickly becomes too overwhelming. It's great for kids, but how do we apply it to adults? And this is so true. We get taught over and over and over that we have to differentiate and we have to personalize our teaching for our kids to meet their diverse needs. But when it comes to us receiving the professional development, many times ours is just a one size fits all. So as administrators, this is something that we definitely need to take a closer look at and do a better job meeting the needs of our teachers' diverse needs. In her book, she had 4 parts, and we're going to just quickly look at the 4 parts that they discussed. The first one was voice, teachers' needs, differentiation for staff. Teachers' needs. We need to be able to provide for teachers' differentiated needs. So some of the things that she mentioned were, let's give teachers a menu of choices. Let's consider what time of day is best for them to learn. We need to determine what platforms do they learn best in. And then also, we need to let teachers evaluate themselves on how they are measuring their own success. So what does this look like? The content. The content needs to be delivered in different forms. We should have written, audible, visual, group collaboration, other types to meet our teachers' individual needs. And then the product of that should be created from the content, and it needs to be practical. It needs to be easily reproducible for teachers to put into effect quickly. I know as a teacher, too many times I've gone to a PD, I hear all these great ideas, I see all these really cool things that I want to take back to my classroom and implement it, and I take it back and I get started and it's like, whoa, well, where do I go from here? There's no more development beyond that to help me implement it further into my classroom. So we need to do a better job as administrators to support this with our teaching staff. The second part was co-creation, align function with form. Leaders assume all learning should be face-to-face. This is a question that we really need to focus on as administrators. Does all of our learning need to only be face-to-face? And is that really the best way to learn? As a teacher, I can say no. I mean, to me, the face-to-face idea is the teacher's in the front of the room lecturing to the students. That might work for some kids, but the majority of them aren't going to get it. It's the same thing with teachers. We need to be asking questions like, is it possible that there are more than one effective ways of learning? Are there situations when learning face-to-face that is best? But we also need to question, is it always necessary? Here's some other options that we could have instead of just face-to-face. Pre-work, allowing teachers to do some work on the topic before coming together for learning. Another is collaboration. We hear about this all the time in the teaching world. We need to give our kids the opportunity to collaborate. Well, teachers need that same time to collaborate. We need to be able to take our ideas based off of our pre-work and work on the topic that's given to us. And then finally, teachers decide. We need to have some decision over what works best for us in learning about new topics. The question came up, PD for administrators. Should we have it? What should it be like? She said, yes, we need it for administrators. But unfortunately, even for administrators, many times they get the same kind of PD that we get, where it's sit down in front of a computer or in front of a lecturer and go through the course to meet the need. But we know that doesn't always work best. Same for adults. We should receive differentiated instruction just as we've been ingrained to give our students. If you think about it, adults are really just kids in big bodies who have grown up and been forced to learn how to fit into this one-size-fits-all PD that's offered by many institutions. It doesn't work. We need to look for more ways to meet the needs of our teachers. The third part of her book was social construction, current experiences versus ideal state of professional learning. The application of this, too many times when it comes to PD, when it's being presented, leaders assume that teachers will automatically just learn the information, that they'll take it back and instantly apply what they've just learned by sitting and listening. That would be great. I wish my students at school could do the same thing, but it's not practical. Alison Rodman had this to say, when in reality, we need to work in collaboration to try out new ideas and bounce ideas off of each other. I totally agree with this. We need, as teachers, to be able to take that time to talk with each other. I have an intervention specialist, and I love to be able to go to PD with her because we work together daily in the same classroom with the same kids, and we're trying to meet all of these diverse needs. And to be able to have her there in a PD where we can discuss, what would this look like in our classroom? How could we do this? How could we make this fit for our kids? It is very necessary. We teachers need that opportunity to collaborate and plan with each other on how to best implement what we've just learned into our classrooms practically. Another thing she mentioned in this section is that there needs to be crucial conversations taking place. But these conversations need to, first of all, take place in a safe space. We need to have a safe place to share our ideas and thoughts because not everybody's going to agree, and we have to respect each other, which is part of the next level here. We have to respect each other's ideas. We have to respect one another's opinions. And no, where I have agreement here, not everyone is going to agree on the same topic. That's why we need this safe space to be able to share those things. And then finally, the ideas. Teachers need to be able to bounce their ideas off of one another. That's where all of these crucial conversations come into play and it needs to take place in that same space or safe space while we push one another on to the next level. Transferring experiences. When we go through these professional development experiences, some of the things that administrators need to think about are applying the learning. Teachers need to be able to apply their learning the next day. But then when it comes to time, what does that time between the PD and the actual practice look like? We have to consider that in our professional development as administrators. And then finally, the support. What are we as leaders doing to support our teachers so that the content can be delivered appropriately in the classroom? The last section was self-discovery, celebrating teachers' commitment to grow. We need to encourage one another continually to grow professionally. So in our PD, these are some of the things that it should do. We need to promote one another as learners. I remember back in my classes at Mount being taught as a teacher, I should be a lifelong learner and I need to teach my kids to do the same thing. So our PD needs to promote that as well. Another thing it should do is include the opportunity for reflection of our growth. We need to look back. How did we grow? Where did we grow? And then finally, show how we apply that in the classroom. So, at the beginning, I showed you both of these standards, and how does it all fit together? After thinking about this and listening to the podcast and looking at these standards, what I came up with is the best way we as administrators can serve our teachers is to produce quality PD that is relevant and is delivered to fit their individual needs while allowing for time to implement the content into their classrooms appropriately. I think as administrators, if we can start to turn our PD to do this, we will see more success in our teachers and we will get more out of them, which in turn will grow our students in our classroom. Thanks for listening to this. Here's my email address, and I also put the links here for the podcast that I listened to. And there's also the credits for this slide. Thank you.